there's one thing that me and this man right here know. This is our next segment. And thank you for staying around listening to that cool music. What's the name of it? I can't remember it right now. You have to remind me in the comments. .com. But anyway, so Donald and I are back, and we have been, Donald, what have we been talking about? You tell them.
Well, we were still discussing, some of the differences between how people do the go-getting versus the go-giving, which is, I think our discussion actually boiled around to, we had the discussion if you want to really be successful and grow as an individual, one of the things that you should do would be to go ahead. One of the things you would need to be able to, being a go-getter is very important for anybody who wants to. Who's young that wants to be something beyond themselves. And everybody says, well, be a go-getter, be a go-getter, be a go-getter. And that's very good advice for anybody who needs to, to step up and go, hey, I need a job. Well, go get it even if you don't like it.
Show up and show out.
Yeah. Show up, do your job until you get to something that you can do.
Until you're a go-giver.
Until you get to something that you wanting to do enough that you step out of the normal boundaries of your role and actually show out to the people that are, in a position to appreciate your work.
Be customers, whatever it is. You're a grinder. That's what I call you. You're grinding, baby. Is that what I call it? You grinding, baby. Let me tell you about it. You grinding, baby. It's like you get them up against the wall. You're making out beside a skating rink on a Saturday night, and you're young, and you're both young, and there's bubble gum, and there's
how many of them know what a skating rink is these days?
and you're making out, and oh my God, it's like the most. You never get naked, but oh my God, you're making out. This is the tea, like right there. We want you to feel that kind of excitement, right there, ladies and gentlemen, because you're our audience.
They call that Netflix and chill now.
Well, I'm gonna tell you right now. I'm gonna tell you right now. Our audience is people that are probably leaned up against a skating rink.
Yes.
Making out with people.
Yes.
But they're good givers. Now, you can give too much and go too far. There's too much of that.
Well, there's a difference between ass kissing and actually just being good at your job.
Exactly.
I mean, the whole thing was I finally had worked my way into a position. I started as, just grocery stores, tomato farms, all that kind of stuff. Went to plywood mill, drove forklifts. I've had a very rounded, job skill set. And, but like I had to spend a couple years in a job that, at the plywood mill. I wanted to go to the paper mill because the paper mill was where the E&I jobs were, which was what my schooling was for. But I had
Hold on a second. Now, E&I, when I think of that, I think of PLC type stuff, like programming logic control.
Yeah, it's electrical and instrumentation type stuff.
Tell us a little bit about what
it's PLCs, automation, valves, the way you make anything, that has a recipe uses valves and flow rates, densities, any of those kind of items that you have to use. Those are the instruments you use. Well, then you have programmable logical controllers, or they call PLCs.
Hold on a second. You mean like paper has a recipe?
Yeah,
come on.
Paper has a recipe.
No, come on.
Yeah, it has a recipe. No. If you're making certain types of tissue.
So you can pretend for one moment that I am Papa Smith, but really I'm Antonio, same verse. You don't judge. I only have one voice to share with you. But anyway, so I have this one part of this, and I one part of this, and one part of this, baby. I'm one part of leaning up against the skating rink. This make your recipe?
Well, that might not make the recipe I'm making at the paper mill when I was at E&I, but it is a recipe for a baby out of wedlock, I can tell you that.
Child support.
But needless to say, I mean, when I was doing even the jobs I didn't like, until I finally found one, I pulled fishtails off of the line. That's where they take the log, they peel it, and they chop it up, and you got to pull strips out that end up getting stacked. Then I worked on the front of the dryers. The dryers is where they take those strips and they run them through and they dry all the moisture out. And I've pulled off the back. It's hard work. You got to wear leather and stuff or you get splinters. And then I finally found a job driving a forklift. But I became very good at it. So it started out hard and I gave. Well, then I was a victim of my own success. I became so good at it, they always wanted, well, we need an extra truck loaded because they knew I could load them better than some. So there is a victimizing of being good at your job because the folks who notice it, they recognize it.
Here's what I tell them. Here's the difference, though. I'm going to tell you right now. If you want me to continue doing all that's good for you, then you got to pay me different. This is in the discussion. If not, me and my fellas, we go to the house, and you know what we say to you? We send over to your house, to your bed in the middle of your night. A freshly cut off, slaughtered horse head in your bed with you to let you sleep so warm and so cozy.
Scarface much? Godfather? Come on, man. I know Pacino was involved. But I mean, needless to say, I still, for the job I did not want, I still became good at it because it made me enjoy it enough that I could stand to go to work. I was working evenings. It was probably the worst shift.
Okay. So now, let me ask you this question. If you had to define, I can tell you what I wanted to do right before I graduated high school, and then I was told I couldn't do it. And then my dad told me, he's like, well, you go to college, you do the fucking thing you want to, because after you get out of college, people can have whatever kind of decision you want to, and you're not, quote-unquote, above them, but you can make your own fucking decisions. You've earned the right to make your own decisions. Because if you've done a job for 5 years, 10 years, whatever, you've earned your right. So get your fucking degree, make your own decisions. So I wanted to be an NPR correspondent. I wanted to be in, at the time, South America with a tape recorder and a computer, which is so different than the computer we conceptualize these days.
Yeah.
And, it was so very fucking basic, one picture, one thing, But anyway, I wanted to be down there capturing stories of Hukabuku and Bafumba, doing ancient dances and, their culture and getting a translation. That's what I wanted to do, man. What did you want to do?
Well, I don't know. For the longest time, all I ever cared about was just, I guess just being an electrical engineer for a while. And then I decided on the E&I course, because, local, it was great money, After my first child was born, I was, still kind of going to school, but, thought about it being joining the Navy.
I remember you talking about
that. Or something other like that. That way, because of the health care at that time, because I was working construction, so, it was so expensive. And at the end, I found something that, being an electrician or an E&I, you use your head. It's not there's troubleshooting things that you have to break your problem down. For a busy brain, ADHD, crazy head like me, it's perfect. Because it busies that brain. My head starts tingling, and I can take a problem and just break it down so easy. And it became easier the more I did it. And, I didn't want to be the best. I just wanted to be the best in my mind.
Yeah.
And if anybody else noticed, and they did notice. But now that's not because I was doing anything more than just giving everything I wanted to give to the job because I enjoyed my job.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it took me that long to find a job I enjoyed.
Well, even for me, even when I got out of, and of course I went to more school than I probably needed to, or probably had to. So I went and got a full 4-year degree in 4 years, which is unbelievable for people today. They're like, you did what? Nah. I took a lot of hours because I had to take some remedial courses at the beginning because I came from a very small, disadvantaged school technically. But no, I did well in all of it, But, the thing of it is that there's, you got to perform at a certain level. But anyway, So, and then from graduate school onto that, and there's nothing wrong with having to go have a check, because a lot of people have over the years, to go back and have to refresh on some things, specifically if you go through some really weird times as a high school student, because you can slow down, and change your whole way with things. And it's very important. In fact, I'm a member, actually a board member of several adult education boards right now, member and chair member of several of those boards. And there's a lot of people from many different places that come through, and they make themselves better and put themselves in a better position in the job market at any rate, because it's very complicated without some piece of paper, or the having the standing of other people behind you. Sometimes it's parents, sometimes it's money, sometimes it's a degree. For me, it was degrees, because I had to earn that shit. Like we talked about working out there, but even whenever I was in my after having being a postgraduate, I was kind of involved in basically selling insurance to companies. As the type of work I was doing was a PEO, Professional Employer Organization. We're no longer in the business, but we would go out and take over the workforce of businesses all over the place. We were in Texas and Arkansas and Missouri and Oklahoma and Mississippi and Alabama and Louisiana, well, everywhere, all around us here, 7 or 8 states. We were like rocking and rolling with it. Of course, the insurance market fell out after 2001 and things changed for us. But, you're rocking and rolling, you're doing that. You're getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning. You're still rolling. You're getting other people. My job even then is like a part of the company was to get those other agents out there where they're supposed to be at. So I've always been kind of the driver.
Yeah, there you go. So
I am. I have been the driver. So my job, even if it was 3 o'clock in the morning, even if I didn't ever went to bed, they relied upon me, put me in brand new vehicles and said, Brad, your job is to get this person over there to where they need to be. And you got to be sober for that. And a lot of people go, ooh, well, that fucking sucks. That was my first 7 or 8 years. I was trying to get the imported people to where they needed to be before I got imported. In other words, I was the driver.
You was the chauffeur.
I was.
Yeah.
And my dad was too. My dad served as chauffeur for people with money for a long time back when he was on strike. So, I'm going to tell you right now, people can have whatever kind of dream they want to have, but you'll never know what might get you there. So, no, a lot of people these days, they're not being a chauffeur. You're being a Uber driver.
An Uber driver.
Or a Lyft or whatever. Hey, you make your connections, and you may one day have you a barbecue tent with camouflage tarps.
That's right. On a pond. With something that looks like a dagger stuck in it.
Could be a temperature device. It could be a dagger. It could be
a
grave marker.
Yeah, hey, with the children I know that run around here sometimes, it is hard to tell. But I want to go back to, now, you went through, the college thing. Now, see, I always kind of thought, now, the college thing, while important, it wasn't for me because I was more of a hands-on thing. And, I was more of a problem solver than a book nut. Yeah. More practical versus the intellectual side. So the different routes took us different ways, but each one had its own, times of like, you got to pay your dues before you can get to the spot that makes you feel better. Now, that's something we figured out. And now, we were always told that mess, but, we never really, oh, come on. But nowadays, it's even worse. The immediate expectation of, I deserve the absolute best, even though I've not done anything other than I've won participation trophies every time I've played sports.
You would not believe what I did to secure, whatever kind of a vague spot I have. I'm gonna tell you, it's not about going, well, the machines broke down, I'm gonna lean up against a wall. No. So if the machines broke down, I pulled my shit off, I put on some kind of white suit, and I'm up there and I got grease on me. You hear me? It may be my good clothes if a really fucked up machine. And we're going to figure out what's going on with it. I don't give a shit if it's an air conditioning unit. I don't give a shit if it's a damn sewage system. I don't give a shit. I'm going to tell you this. We just went through a business after hours in El Dorado, Arkansas, which is the most wonderful town you could ever be in. This is the music town of the whole world. But anyway, we're over there, and I remember I opened up an office over there back in 1997. I went in there, but now to get the open office going, I had to go through and run wires to get all the computers going to at least have one kind of a network going where we can have everything showing the same fucking thing, printing to the same computer and shit like that to print off stuff. So it seemed like a very simple job. Well, it is if there's an infrastructure there to do all that. But if you got to go through and run wires, and at the time, the protocol was to run it up under the building, and you're securing it with shit. So I'm up under this building, a pier and beam building, and
joy.
Oh yeah. So and I went to work that day with my tie and my slacks on. Yeah. And by the end of the day, those slacks were very dirty. But I had all that shit stapled up. Now the shirt never did get dirty. I had the t-shirt dirty, But I was like, oh shit, that ain't gonna happen right there. But so that was my first down as a postgraduate degree, and my first down job in El Dorado. Went over there, and I had to get this thing going because we had a business after hours the next morning.
So after all that time of the school, you ended up being a plumber. A plumber.
I'm sending shit down here. That's basically
well, and see, and there's the thing is, you're in a field where you don't have to do that every day.
Every day.
But you don't mind doing it. See, and that's the difference of when you was where we were raised and how we were raised. I know folks, even today that I worked with that had to, you finish it up, had to do whatever. And, man, I totally lost that train of thought. Oh, I know what it was. Okay. Yeah. They only did those one things, and that's it. When they got home, that was it. They're done. They ain't doing nothing else. They didn't know how to do split wood. They didn't know how to fix a door latch. They didn't know how to do anything. Yeah. And now there's some of the things that, in truth, a lot of folks, especially I'm going to say in an industry where merit and work matters.
Yeah.
That's some of the hardest ones is the folks that they've got the title that make the same money, but you're lucky if they know how to change a light bulb. Now, in my field, of course, now that's being an electrician, and that's with the instructions, on the bottom of the base, and they know how to, screw it out and all that kind of stuff. But they'd screw the same bulb back in. But neither here nor there. I mean, it is still where, there's the disassociation of having to, I guess, do the same jobs, and if you're wanting to be like what we're discussing, giving more, well, they're paying me, and I should do my job. Well, so and so ain't doing it. Well, I've got to step up and do it. Well, that's also the first steps in becoming a leader, not just a follower. I mean, when you make that decision to, well, I know we make the same cash, and we've got animosity. I mean, don't slow down to his level. Step up to there and just be a little better than you are. And hey, it always made me feel better, but I ain't for sure how everybody on their brother these days, with all the terms they have of the no work Mondays, slow down Thursdays, or I don't even know what they are. Because, I mean, we always did the Friday thing. Okay, look, we're going to do the easiest work orders on Fridays. We always wanted to have the easiest things to do on Fridays so that, hey, we had easy days. And if nothing bad happened, then we just had an easy day, went home at 3 o'clock, sometimes snuck out, like, you know what, I need a haircut about, 1 o'clock Friday afternoon. Yeah, and that's kind of the way that was. But this no work Mondays, slow down Thursdays. If you want to start trying to be a little bit of a leader and grow in whatever you're doing, you got to learn to go, well, he ain't doing no more than me. I'm not going to do any more either. Being a leader means you do that little extra regardless of what the other ones are.
Okay. So now we're at the end of segment 2, which is the segment of stop being a whiny little bitch and get your fucking ass to work. Get your fucking ass out there and shut the fuck up. Like Dr. Dennis Leary, he came out with this thing like 1990 something. Dr. Dennis Leary said, shut the fuck up.